Chapter 9, Your Strategic Partnership Vehicle, Infinite ROI. My phone rang on Monday morning and I heard my father-in-law, Matt's voice. We exchanged pleasantries and I asked him how his trip had been since I knew that he and my mother-in-law had just returned from celebrating their anniversary. But I could tell he didn't want to talk about his vacation. He cut right to the chase. Can you tell me about the real estate that you've been buying? The question immediately put me on edge. Not because I didn't enjoy discussing real estate. It was because I believed that Matt thought that I was nuts for buying houses. A couple years before, I had to look him in the eyes and tell him I had just dropped out of pre-med. Then I went and bought a house in a college town with no degree and no declared major. Why would his son-in-law do that? To Matt and to the rest of the known universe, you buy a house only once you're sure. You're sure of where you want to live, where you want to raise your family. You're sure that you've got the right career and that you can cover your mortgage. But the thing is, I wasn't sure about anything. A little while later, when I bought my second house, he was even more confused. What young married couple needs two properties unless they're headed for a divorce? When I bought my third house, no doubt, he concluded that I'd completely lost my mind. I wasn't following the plan he thought would make his daughter safe and secure. And as a young man, Matt had gotten his undergrad in business and went back for his MBA, and now he was working for a successful company. That is the model that you use to provide for your family, right? I seem to be following a starkly different model. And if you'd asked me what the model was at that time, I'm sure I appeared as directionless as a bag in the wind. I was still figuring it all out myself, but I knew that I was onto something. Given all of that, my nervousness about Matt asking real estate questions is probably more understandable. But you see, I kept my cool, responded with a matter-of-factness, and I listened to what he had to say, trying to read between the lines. It didn't take too long before I figured out what was going on. First, he wanted to know the difference between the sale price and the value of the homes I bought. He also wanted to know how much I was netting on rent. As he continued, I could have sworn I heard the faint scribbling of a pen and some tip-tapping on a calculator. At one point, he even asked me my thoughts on traditional investment vehicles like 401ks, and I didn't hold back. He let it all sink in, and then there was this silence for a moment before he continued. So what's your next move, Kris? I proceeded to tell him about a fourth property that I had my eye on and how much cash flow it would generate if I could just figure out how to fund it. Well, how much do you need? He asked. I told Matt I needed $20,000. And his next question caught me entirely off guard. How about I put up the money, you do all the work, and then when it's done, we split the profits 50-50. In that instant, I felt an insane rush of adrenaline. Something had just clicked. My father-in-law had suddenly unlocked the opportunity that would ultimately create millions of dollars for me and scores of future business partners. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks that I no longer needed my own money to make money in real estate. Why use my own money when I could use somebody else's? Infinite business partners. Before I even graduated from BYU, Matt and I had already purchased 9 homes together. I remember one day during my last semester of college, the professor had gone off on a tangent about something, and I gave my mind a little time to wander. How had I gotten so lucky to have a father-in-law who had money saved in traditional retirement vehicles? Then this same father-in-law also trusted me enough to help him use his savings to create better returns. My next thought about this was, where can I sign up to get more father-in-laws? But I didn't need more in-laws. What I really needed was a way to consistently duplicate this type of partnership. One day shortly after, it dawned on me that several people in my circle had kept regular tabs on my real estate success. So I made a short list of those that I thought might be more naturally interested in partnering with me. This sounds like the start of a corny joke, but my list included a dentist, a corporate executive, an optometrist, and a small business owner. I decided to call all 4 and offer to take each one to lunch. During each lunch meeting, I proposed a partnership like the one that I had with my father-in-law. I didn't show up empty-handed. I had taken the time to create a professional-looking portfolio that included all my properties, and I proceeded to share the results of my last 10 real estate purchases, the cash flow received from each property, the discount I was receiving when I bought the properties, the ROI earned on each, as well as the compounding ROI on all properties and my reinvestments. Every one of them had the same reaction as my father-in-law had. It was something like, "Where has this been my whole life?" Or, "Whoa, this kid is really kicking the trash out of my retirement plans." Each lunch appointment ended the same way. We excitedly shook hands as I welcomed them as my newest business partner. Our arrangement had a simple structure. They would put up the money as the passive partner. I would do all the work as the active partner. And after they recouped their initial investment, we would split the profits evenly. It didn't take me long to realize that as long as my real estate investments performed well, I could take on as many partners as needed as I found the right deals. The end result would be to create a massive hoard of properties, all made possible through the power of other people's resources. Infinite ROI unlocked. I may have been terrible at chemistry, which frankly is why I dropped out of pre-med, but I was great at statistics as it turns out. In fact, this worked out very well since Statistics 101 at BYU was designed as a weed-out course. Let me tell you what a weed-out course is. It's basically a class designed to fail those who have no business pursuing that subject any further, and it simultaneously puts a spotlight on the rock stars. The statistics professor told us on the very first day of class, "My job is to fail 90% of you." But I wasn't scared for a minute. I didn't even have to study. It all came naturally to me like I'd been born spewing statistics. When it came time for the final exam, I absolutely destroyed the curve. Much to the dismay of the rest of the class, my final grade for the course was an A+. I actually got 113%, while my classmates mainly got D's and F's. I had finally discovered my passion for numbers. But you don't have to be a statistician to appreciate what I'm about to share with you. Through a few simple calculations, I will explain the power of your money invested into real estate compared to the power of other people's money invested into real estate. We'll use nice round numbers to keep things simple, but this concept works no matter how simple or complex the deal. Example A, your money at work. Traditional ROI. Let's say that you saved $40,000 and invested it as a 20% down payment for a property. Then you sold the house 4 years later and made your initial $40,000 back along with an additional $40,000 profit. You doubled your money over 4 years. But don't take my word for it. Let's do the math. First, calculate the total ROI and then the annual ROI. The $40,000 gain is divided by the $40,000 investment, which equals 1. Times it by 100, and you get 100% total ROI. Then we got to take that 100% total ROI and divide it by 4 years, because that's how long it took, and that equates to a 25% annual ROI. Making 25% on your investment every year for a total of a 100% return on investment is already impressive. But I've done that deal thousands of times. So let's get to the exciting part. Example B, your partner's money at work. Infinite ROI. Assume that you do the exact same real estate deal, but this time your partner provides the $40,000 for the initial investment. You and your team do all the work, and 4 years later, your partner gets his $40,000 initial investment back upon the sale of the property. But then there's the matter of the $40,000 profit. Your partner gets $20,000 and you get $20,000. Let's check your partner's ROI first. Your partner invested $40,000 and received a total of $60,000 back, the $40,000 down payment plus the $20,000 of profit. Well, let's do the math. A $20,000 gain for them divided by their $40,000 investment equals 0.5, times it by 100, and that's a 50% total ROI. Now let's take a look at their annual ROI. 50% divided by 4 years is 12.5% annual ROI. A 12.5% ROI would make almost any investor, especially one who's been using society's retirement vehicles, thrilled. But what about your results? You made $20,000, but you invested $0. What's your ROI? I know that you desperately wanted to do more math, but there is no math to be done here. And that's why I call it an infinite ROI, because the results that you can expect when leveraging strategic partnerships really are limitless. But in reality, you cannot calculate an answer at all. A fundamental rule of fractions is that you can't have a zero in the denominator. When you do, the result is undefined. It's an impossible result. In other words, you have defied the laws of mathematics with your investing brilliance. You put in no money, but you received $20,000 in profit. That's not even supposed to be possible, and yet it happened. This is a profit that my partners and other smart investors would just turn right around and put into more real estate. Now, let's shift gears for a moment. What happens if you take a hard-earned $50,000 and you want to put it in the real estate market as a 20% down payment? Well, if you put it into the stock market, earning its basic returns, remember, that turns into $160,000 over 20 years. Not very impressive. You put that same money, that same $50,000 into real estate, earning a minimum of a 25% ROI, and it produces $4.3 million. That's 27 times more money. That is why I call this vehicle your Infinite ROI private jet. And it earns its rightful and critical place on the financial freedom roadmap that we've been discussing. Let's review your financial freedom roadmap. Step one, you are reserving a percentage of your income. Hopefully you're getting it up to 20%, and in time, even more. You're putting that in your financial reserve vehicle. Remember, that's a form of life insurance where you pick up all of those benefits, but it's not meant to hang out there very long. A part of it will. That's like your emergency fund, your sleep well at night fund. That's how you sleep well at night and you have some peace of mind. But the rest of it, it's waiting to be deployed into one of the next 4 vehicles. We've talked about that going into your passive income vehicle, earning double digits through real estate. We've also talked about your asymmetric risk vehicle and how you leverage the stock market to produce triple-digit ROI. And then in the last chapter, we talked about business, producing an active income vehicle so that you can get up to quadruple-digit ROI. Now we're talking about a private jet. Because remember, if you're in California, you want to get to New York, you can drive, or baby, you can fly. It's all through this strategic partnership vehicle that gives you access to infinite ROI. And trust me when I tell you, this unlocks a whole new level of possibility for wealth creation in your world. I love the term infinite ROI because it does an excellent job of conveying the closest thing that you can get to pulling money out of thin air. Now, I said earlier in the book that matter cannot be created or destroyed, but only changes forms. And that's still true. I may have defied the laws of mathematics, but I'll leave the laws of physics alone. My intent with the idea of infinite ROI through strategic partnerships is to help you let go of limiting beliefs. Just imagine the possibilities that await you when you have not only your own resources at your disposal, but also the endless resources of others. You're not pulling money out of thin air, you're just helping it change forms. So we've established that you can't determine ROI without an initial investment. Therefore, the best possible way to calculate your return when you utilize strategic partnerships is to look at the value or worth of your time. For example, I leverage a team to buy real estate. They do all of the legwork on every part of the deals from start to finish, and I spend maybe 15 minutes of my time on each deal. 5 years later, let's say, I make $50,000 personally profit on the sale of a property. Well, if I made $50,000 for 15 minutes of work, that equates to $200,000 an hour. Guys, I'm really not that special. If my time can be worth $200,000 an hour on a deal, then your time can be highly valuable as well. So how can you tap into something so powerful? Well, this magic comes in the power of 3. The power of 3. Earning double-digit returns in real estate is excellent. Through the act of buying, holding, and selling properties, you can leave the returns of those old investment vehicles in the dust. But earning infinite ROIs through leveraging other people's money, even better. All you need to get started is to focus on the number 3. Now listen very carefully. If you want to understand the power of 3, we got to back it up from 2 to 1 and even 0. You see, imagine for a moment that you have a friend who's got some savings and they might be willing to get in the real estate game with you as a partner. The problem is you've got no track record. In fact, you've done 0 deals. How is this friend going to respond to your proposal? If they're smart, they're going to say no. Now let's advance to 1, as in, let's assume that you've done 1 successful deal and you decide to approach this same friend and say, hey, check it out. I did it. Like, I produced this profit. Are you ready to partner with me now? Guess what they're thinking? They're thinking, yeah, you got lucky. That's not exactly what I would call a track record. They might be a little curious, but they're probably more than anything skeptical. Now, however, let's assume that you've done 2 deals. And you go back to this friend, which you know has money, and they could actually partner with you and do some deals with you. But you know what they're likely thinking? Listen, you got lucky the first go around, and you know what? It's a fluke the second go around. There's no way you could actually do that again. And guess what? I am not investing with you. But I'll tell you something very magical happens after you've done 3 deals, 3 businesses, 3 real estate deals. There's something magical about the number 3. Something changes. You go to this friend all of a sudden, you say, well, guess what? It wasn't 1 deal, it wasn't 2. I've done 3. In fact, here are my numbers. Does this remind you of my conversation with my father-in-law? Well, guess what they're now thinking? They're starting to think, all right, you're not getting lucky anymore. You're actually onto something. And now they start developing some FOMO, some serious fear of missing out. Like, wait a second, my friend, my buddy is onto something. And you know what? Now is the time when I actually want to get on that train and let's ride. 3 really is the minimum magic number that makes people want to partner with you. You found a pattern for manifesting real estate success as well as success in business, and they want in on it. Successful business owners with a track record of growing companies get investors to back their deals so they can grow businesses with other people's money. In order to get the infinite ROI ball rolling, work on developing that track record. And here's what it means for you today. Focus on building an initial portfolio of no fewer than 3 homes. That is enough of a track record to approach potential partners. You can implement the business plan from the previous chapter and work on building a few successful businesses with the kind of KPIs that attract future partners. Make a plan for saving that will enable you to purchase a minimum of 3 properties. Do that, and you'll have something impressive to show potential partners. Once you've completed those 3 deals, you're ready. In fact, once you've done those 3 deals, what I want you to do is review your contact list right there on your phone and reach out to anyone who is 35 years of age and older, financially conservative, and they make above average income. These people are the individuals who have likely been putting money in 401ks, into IRAs, paying off their house, setting assets aside for retirement. And by the time you approach them, there's a solid chance that they've grown at least partially disenchanted with their traditional retirement plan. They may have looked at their investment accounts, the ones that are supposed to make them feel warm and fuzzy and snuggly and secure, and wonder why they haven't grown more substantially. Share the 3 deals that you've successfully completed, professionally present the numbers, and walk them step by step through the ROIs. There's a high probability that they will decide to put their money into your 4th deal. If you can just find 1 partner, then with each additional home that you buy together, it builds your success track record in the real estate investing. The more you add to your track record, the easier it is to get another partner. Your first partner will honestly be your hardest to acquire, but the second and the third will likely follow suit much more quickly and more easily. Before long, you'll find yourself on a success path, much like my own. You'll have the ability to invest in real estate without using any of your own money whatsoever, and it's a glorious step into the power of infinite returns. Action steps for creating infinite results. I've got great news. The same principle of infinite ROI works in business too. You never have to be restricted by your own wallet again, as long as you have some initial track record on any idea with positive duplicatable returns. If you think the numbers with infinite business partners looks good on 25% ROI real estate deals, then imagine how good they look with business when you're dealing with triple and quadruple digit ROI potential. The better you become at doing business, the better your established track record will be. This creates a desire for people to partner with you on your next business venture. Start a new business and generate high net profit margins that enable you to start another business and then another. After this, I predict many investors will get that FOMO feeling and want pieces of the action. Okay, pause for a moment. I got to drop some bonus content on you that is not in the book. I hope you're okay with that. I want to talk about this whole number 3, right? Like if I could do 3 really good real estate deals, it's true. I develop a positive track record. And if they're good deals, people are going to want to put money after that. But the opposite is also true. A track record is like a currency. And to me, that currency is more valuable than money. If you get a bad track record, you can't leverage this benefit. You don't want to sit down with someone and say, well, I did 3 deals and 2 of them sucked and one of them was okay. Who's going to want to give you money? Which is why it is so important that you have systems or people or coaches. And this book is just the beginning. It is so important that whatever you do your best to produce the best results so that that track record can build momentum for you. And if you do it right, that track record can become a currency far more valuable than any money you'll ever stash away. They say it takes money to make money, and they're right, whoever they are, but they never said whose money it has to be. As you build a track record for succeeding in business, you will likewise earn the trust of individuals who will want to partner with you. But none of this can happen without step 1. Step 1 is to save money in your financial reserve vehicle. Step 2 is to parcel those funds out to the different investment vehicles. As we continue, I'm going to ask you to start seeing your track record of success in business and real estate as an asset. We think of time and money as assets, but track record is my most valuable asset that I trade for money and even more time. As each investment vehicle performs, it will generate cash flow to redeposit back into your interest-earning life insurance bank account. And then things really start to pick up the pace. The more you invest, the more experience you get. The more experience you get, the better your track record becomes. The better your track record, the more credibility you build. The more credibility you build, the more partners you attract. The more partners you attract, the deeper into the land of infinite returns you travel. Before long, the time will come when people with money will seek you out for partnership. It's a beautiful thing to defy the rule of mathematics and break the calculator on your way to financial freedom. And that, my friend, is how you utilize the most potent accelerant to achieve financial freedom sooner rather than later. But Kris, I don't want to wait that long before I unlock infinite ROI. Listen, I don't blame you. Fortunately, it is possible to achieve an infinite ROI without a track record through one shortcut: leveraging someone else's track record. I recently discovered that many of my clients and social media followers had introduced their friends and family to my real estate investing system. Without even realizing it, they leveraged my personal track record. Many people chose to partner with me simply because of their friends' recommendations. Given how often this is happening, I launched a program that allows my followers and clients to refer potential partners. And if their referring prospect is the right candidate for partnering, I will then share 50% of my ownership with whoever referred them. Why am I doing this? I've already built my wealth. I've also achieved a point in my life where I'll never spend another moment worrying about how to provide for my family. So I choose to give back. Remember, it doesn't have to be your money, and it also doesn't have to be your track record. Ultimately, you're simply combining resources to make deals happen. My mentor, Tony Robbins, says it best. It's not about your resources, it's about your resourcefulness. And I will admit that my style is unconventional. I also know that my approach to earning infinite ROIs is very maverick in nature. So let me define maverick for you. Noun: a person who marches to the beat of their own drum. Someone who refuses to adhere to customary rules and standards just because it's what's expected. I absolutely love being a maverick. I also love attracting fellow mavericks as business partners. If you want to learn more about becoming a maverick, visit the link below. There you can download your free copy of the resource I've created to guide you through the process of developing a team of investment partners without using any money and certainly without needing a track record. Just go to kriskrohn.com/mavericks. Oh, we made it to the end of another chapter, Chapter 9, Checkpoint. 6 takeaways. Number 1, people with savings are often willing to supply the investment and be passive investment partners in real estate. At the same time, you invest nothing but your time and expertise. Then you split the profits after they recover their investment. Takeaway number 2, After discovering how strategic partnerships exponentially multiplied my earnings, I reached out to my qualified contacts and I presented the opportunity to them. Those with FOMO, fear of missing out, always wanted in. Takeaway number 3, your own money at work in real estate can quickly produce double-digit annual returns. However, your ROI on other people's money is infinite. You literally cannot calculate it. Number 4, before you can start putting other people's money to work, you need to respect the power of 3. You need to have at least 3 successful real estate deals before your partnership offer becomes desirable to other investors. Takeaway number 5, don't forget that step 1 is to put money into your reserve vehicle before you can actually start investing and hence then building your own track record. And finally, takeaway number 6, if you want to shortcut the power of 3 rule, then you have to find a way to leverage somebody else's track record.